Well, today we're beginning lesson 3.3. We're going to learn about how to solve equations with variables on both sides. So our important vocabulary that we're going to be learning is equation and inverse operations. Notice that an equation just simply has the equal sign. That's the difference between an equation and an expression. An equation is two expressions set equal to each other. And the inverse operation is simply the opposite operation. So the opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of multiplication is division. So whatever operation that we have to perform on one side, in order to reverse that, to undo it, we simply do the inverse operation. So to get a positive result, we have 4x plus 2 is equal to 5x minus 1. We've got that in both situations. I usually try to keep a positive result because it just makes it easier, less steps to remember in the long run. You don't have to remember to divide by -1. So I look at my variables. That's the first thing I move, and I notice both of them are positive, and that 5 is greater than 4. That's why I usually choose to subtract 4x from both sides. You could choose to subtract 5x from both sides, but then you're going to have to end up subtracting a -2 and then dividing by a -1 in order to get rid of the negative sign in front of your variable, because you're solving for an x, not a negative x. However, if you move the smaller number, if you keep your variable positive, then you're able to add 1 to both sides, so you know x is equal to 3, very simply. You can use algebra tiles to practice, or you can just go ahead and move to the example and use it algebraically. We're going to find a positive variable and then use inverse operations. So we've got a positive 5 and a positive 4. Well, 5 is larger than 4, so let's subtract 4p from both sides. Here we're showing that we're subtracting it from both sides. When I say both sides, I mean from both sides of the equal sign. So that leaves us with 1p, or we can rewrite that as just p is equal to 7. And here's our solution, p is equal to 7. So now it's your turn. Find a positive variable, and then we're going to use inverse operations to solve for q. So pause the video for a moment, then you can come back and find the answer to this one. So what do you think you're going to subtract from both sides? I would subtract 2q for both sides. So you'd have minus 2q and minus 2q. So you're going to end up with a -5 is equal to a q. So q is equal to a -5. Okay, let's go on to the next example. Solve 4h minus 2 is equal to 2h plus 6. First of all, to find the positive variable, we're going to subtract 2h from both sides. So 2h minus 2 is equal to 6. Now we need to isolate the h. Well, first of all, let's do something with this positive 2 or -2. We're going to add 2 to both sides. That leaves us with 2h is equal to 8. Now to continue isolating the variable, we're going to have to divide both sides by 2 so that h is equal to 4. So now it's your turn to solve using variables on both sides. So pause the video for a moment, then come back in a minute and we'll check your solution. Okay, so to find our positive variable, we're going to use inverse operations. This 9 is positive and so is the 6. So let's subtract 6a from both sides. That leaves us -12 is equal to 3a minus 3. So we rewrite that again. Now we're trying to isolate this variable. Let's start by adding 3 to both sides. So -9 is equal to 3a. And we're going to divide both sides by 3. So a is equal to -3. Good job. Time for a little guided practice. Okay, now time for a little guided practice, a little step-by-step practice. So first of all, what would you do here? What's the larger number, 8y or 7y? Okay, yes, you're going to subtract 7y from both sides. So y is going to equal to 21. How about this one? Which one's larger? The 5m, and it's positive, so let's move this 4m. So let's subtract 4m from both sides. So m is equal to -7. Oh, now they want us to label each step. Okay, so I'm going to have you take just a minute so that you can fill this out, and then come back and we'll check your answers. So you decide to subtract 5g from both sides. So you have 4g minus 10 is equal to 6. Add 10 to both sides. 4g is equal to 16. We divide both sides by 4. So g is equal to 4. Good job. Okay, 2 more problems. This first one, they simply want you to work it. They give you the reasons out to the side. So this is a lot like doing a proof when you justify what steps you're doing. And then 5, you have to both solve the equation, list step by step what you're doing, and then the reason why you're doing it. So I want you to pause the video for a moment and then come back and check your answers. Okay, did you subtract 5x from both sides? That leaves you with 9 is equal to 2x minus 1. Add 1 to both sides. 10 is equal to 2x. Divide both sides by 2, so x is equal to 5. On this one, the larger number is 10, it's positive, so we're going to subtract 3z from both sides. 7z minus 14 is equal to 7. Now we're going to try to isolate this variable. Add 14 to both sides. That leaves us with 7z is equal to 21. Divide by 7, so z is equal to 3. So if you didn't get the reasons correct, now's the time to get those corrected, just so you can pause for a moment before we go on to step-by-step problem-solving practice. Okay, got a little number sense going on here. We're writing an equation. 6 plus 12 times a number is, which means equals, 14 more, so we're adding 14 to 8 times the number. So we're going to use x to represent the number. So you need to find out what your keywords are. What plan are you going to use to solve the problem? What is your answer when you do solve the problem? And don't forget to show step by step how you solve this one and give your reasons. And then how can you check your answer? Well, they've pretty much underlined that whole number or word sentence, because we need each one of those words in order to write our equation. So I'll let you check your work and see where you are. Did you get x equals 2? Very good. And then you can check your answer by simply substituting 2. So wherever if you say x is equal to 2, if you put a 2 in place of x, both of these sides should equal the same number. So that's how you can check your work. You should always know if you've got your work right. So when you've checked your answers, it's time to go on to the skills, concepts, and problem solving.